States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Number 2, we will call to order the April 2nd, 2026 Village Board meeting. Roll call shows all trustees are present. Staff is present except for Ally, and she has been excused. And our attorney is present. Okay. And we'll go to number 4, agenda changes. Are there any?
Yes, if we could move 8 below 9.
Move what?
8, unfinished business below new business, please.
Okay, so we'll do it after. Okay. Okay, number 5, consent agenda. A, March 19th, 2026, regular board meeting minutes. And B, presentation of accounts and other claims against the village. If there are no questions, I would need a motion to accept.
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
A second. Roll call, Jim.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Motion carried. 6, pre-registered citizens to be heard. Are there any?
No.
7, committee reports. A, library board.
Nothing really new, just had Owl's visit, and Ally's report is in a packet too, so nothing new there.
And B, committee of the whole. We just had. Anything you want to add to it? No? Okay. Then we'll move to 9, new business. A, discussion and possible action on resolution R-06-26, providing for the sale of approximately $1,670,000
But starting with the base case, this is for existing debt profile of the village prior to issuing this debt. So you'll see starting on the left-hand column, your total general obligation debt payments in 2026 is about $674,000. You have other sources that pay into the debt right now from TIDs 3, 4, and 6. So that then lowers the amount of debt that is paid for by the levy. So if you look at that net tax levy column about 3/4 to the right-hand side, that is your debt service levy, the amount of your total levy that goes towards debt service. The goal of the village historically has been to keep that level year over year, so that way your taxpayers aren't seeing a roller coaster of 1 year we're paying up, next year we're going down. So in 2026, you can see it's about $5,000 less than the year prior because you're leveraging your ability to claim additional debt service on your levy limit worksheet. That was about $278,000. So that gets you to your net tax levy this year of $668,000. You will see quite a big drop next year, dropping by about $400,000, which we're then able to layer in new debt to help mitigate that drop. So you'll see that shown as we incorporate the new debt here. Turning to table 2, I'll skip through this pretty quick. This is just the capital improvement plan and outlines the details of how we get to the $1.67 million of debt. So we'll turn to slide number 3, or excuse me, table number 3. This is that breakdown, including cost of issuance. So top half is that all of that breakout for each project by the capital improvement plan gets us to the net of $1.595 million. You may ask, why are we issuing debt for $1.67 million? It's because it costs money to issue debt. There's a variety of players involved in getting you to the open market. When you issue in the open market, you often get a lower interest rate than just going to your local bank. So that's the benefit. The cost savings from the lower interest rate is advantageous over the cost of issuance in order to pay for this. So you have your various players, including Quarles and Brady, who the village has chosen to serve as bond counsel and disclosure counsel. The other item that I want to draw your attention to is the paying agent. So right now the village does not use a paying agent. $381,000, which while is higher than current, it is still quite a drop from your existing net debt service levy. So now let's take a look at what this most likely would look like in Table 6. This is more so what we're showing as the recommended tax impact. Same thing that you see here, difference starts about halfway through. So we've shown if TID 5 cannot make its payments, what will you need to levy for TID 5? That is why you see in black those numbers there. The years in which it's 0 means the TID is able to make that payment right now based on the projections. That will change each year. These numbers will not stay the same. Each year when we do your annual TID updates and we update your cash flows, that will help predict what those dollar amounts need to be for the following year's levy. This will help you get to a level tax impact. The other piece of this is including that additional $261,000 in 2027. This is similar to what you did this past budget season, where you levied an additional amount to keep your tax impact level. So we've incorporated that there. Now when you're doing that, you can also use that to kind of save to fund future capital projects as well, so that way you don't need to borrow for that. So that can play into future policy decisions around how to fund your capital improvement plan. So all that to say, looking at the year 2027, that would get you to a 0 change in your tax impact from the issuance of this new debt. Turning to Table 7, just as a reminder, I know I talked through this back in December, but you are limited as to how much general obligation debt you can have outstanding. Geo debt, again, you are pledging your levy authority, meaning you at the end of the day are able to levy for the full general obligation debt service payment. In 2026, your debt limit is 5% of your total equalized value, which is about $20 million, meaning that's the most outstanding principal you can have on a general obligation pledge. In 2026, right now, you have about $2.8 million of principal outstanding, so you're at about 14%. With the incorporation of this new debt, you jumped up to about 22%. However, each year thereafter, as your debt matures, that number dwindles down. So in 2026, your residual capacity is about $15.5 million. We typically recommend your limit
employees would have to hopefully know that we had this. I mean,
Yeah.
if Jane's still not
On
by
vacation,
us,
yeah.
then she usually would probably say something to us,
And
but.
$900 takes care of for the whole.
Just for this debt service issue, so all.
Just for
But
that.
for the
Right.
life of the.
But for the life of
For the
it.
life.
Yeah.
For the life, and that's where I'm,
Annually.
It's not
Okay.
annual, or it's 900 annual.
$900 once, and then there's an annual fee. I think it's about $800 annually after that.
Okay, so.
I just think about we're a smaller municipality, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I think about, I know that you guys have done a ton of cross-training and all that kind of thing, but this is
There's a
kind
lot
of
of things
big
that
deal.
potentially, when people leave, things get missed for
Yeah.
a little bit of time until it gets caught. So, that's all I'll say. I
I'm
mean,
kind of leaning on the $900.
And I
me
would
too,
agree.
versus
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
900
The whole
bucks.
scope of
Yeah, but
it. It's
it's,
small.
then it's 800 next year and 800 a year. after
Correct.
that, 800 a year after that.
Correct, but if ever we wanted to go for any kind of rating, plus we also don't want to be missing our debt payments.
No.
Right.
So, I mean, how often is this paid? Is this like a monthly? or
Twice a year.
Twice a year?
Which would be easy to miss.
Which is
It's so
why it's
easy to
hard,
forget.
yeah.
Yeah. I
That'd be
think
really
it's
easy
worth
to
it.
miss. I don't think there's enough sticky notes in the world to remind you that one.
I always do the invoices for this kind of stuff and the wires like a year ahead of time.
Yeah.
And then I just put them in folder, so we don't miss it, then I pull them out monthly.
But if you were on a vacation
Yeah,
and
true.
I'm trying to spin positive on it. Not that you'd be out for anything not good, but I mean,
What if you retire?
we literally have one person
I mean,
that does that sort
Yeah,
of thing.
and then we have a gap.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I
that's my
think it's
opinion.
worth the money
I agree.
to not destroy the village.
I think it's a good gig for whoever's making the payment. I mean,
Yeah,
$400 to make one, to just trigger, push a button and make a payment.
yeah.
Do you need a motion on that?
Or it needs to be in the
No.
resolution.
It's in the
probably.
resolution already.
Very
With the resolution.
It's
I just wanted to-
it's already in
It
there.
already is
Well,
in
that's
here.
fine.
So if you wanted it out, that would have to be a different.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted, thank you, I just wanted to understand what,
Yeah.
that it wasn't,
Mhm.
okay, some clarification.
Are there any other questions? Otherwise, we need a motion for R-6-26.
I will make a motion to approve R-6-26.
I'll second it.
Roll call, Jim?
Aye.
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 Motion carried. Okay, B, discussion and possible action on National Night Out Scholarship.
Yeah, this one's mine. So this actually came out of a department meeting. You know, we do a number of community events each year and, you know, really trying to roll each one of those into the other. And the discussion came up primarily because through Police Lights of Christmas, we get a few $1,000s of gift cards each year for the things that we do throughout the year. And last year when we were talking about some funding, we were finding that we weren't using all of that money annually, and then we were getting to build a lot of these gift cards. And so what we said is, or I reached out to the organization and said, can we use those things towards National Night Out, which we get a great turnout for. It's a great community event. They said yes, so we found some different sort of funding for National Night Out. And one of the things that we talked about was, you know, are there things that we can do throughout the year with some of those funds that we're raising to give back to our community in other ways. I had been approached by the Hortonville Rec about potentially sponsoring some kids that couldn't afford that program, and also talked with the district about a scholarship idea, and so had brought that back to the officers. They liked that idea. Had reached out with Nathan and talked about what we had in that fund from National Night Out. We currently have about $14,000 that we've raised over the years through National Night Out. And so when I say all of that, what I would say is, you know, we're proposing this idea of maybe to do that $1,000 grant, or excuse me, scholarship for a high school senior, and then also sponsoring 2 rec students if needed. What I would say with this though is we always try to build this National Night Out, this community event, and so we kind of looked at this and thought it's a way to give back at different times of the year from those funds, and we can speak to that, but then also that night to really, you know, promote that we do these other things in the community throughout the year. And really, as I talk about this money, I think it's, and I talked with Nathan about this, is it would be an evaluation, or that I would, you know, check the viability of that each year, I think, to see if we have the money there. And I think the scholarship and sponsoring kids is something that I think organizations understand that we just may not be able to do it certain years based on what we've raised. We're in a good position to do it now, but with the understanding that we just may not be able to continue to do it. When we've talked about other things, and my struggle, I think sometimes when we talk about that evening or that event is, we've talked about doing other things to promote it more, but I worry about the reoccurring costs of those things. And I feel like with scholarships or sponsorships of this sort, again, those organizations kind of understand year to year if you can or you can't do it with the funding that you have. And so I guess I'm bringing it to the board to ask if we could move forward with doing it this year to see how that works out for us. And, you know, it'd be something that we review annually.
How much would the scholarship be?
$1,000.
1,000?
And is it
Would there
first?
be any stipulations for it, or?
So just go to the general, there's kind of a general scholarship application process, then give it back to the officers, have them, you know, rank individually who they feel. You know, the idea is always like, we would want to promote somebody probably in like going into criminal justice. Unfortunately, that's not really the case much these days. So, you know, finding other fields that are somewhat law enforcement related would be a preference on our part. But, you know, if it's a local student that we know that we feel like, or, you know, we would want to support because of maybe our interactions, it's just a thing that we felt would be good to give back to our community and promote the department at different events throughout the year from things that we've raised from that night, if that makes sense.
Any questions
That-
for Brian?
That answered, like, somebody going into like a public safety career. Because I know, like, having kids in school, I mean, they've got all the different things that they have to fill out for different scholarships, and there's some that they qualify for, some that they don't.
Yep. And I can actually work, Jen Van Asten, who kind of runs the scholarship program there, I can have her break it down to, you know, we're preferencing or giving preference to those who are, you know, law enforcement, criminal justice, law, those types of things, and she can break that out for me. And I just thought, you know, it's senior night draws in a lot of folks, and it's a good show from the village of Hortonville and the Hortonville Police Department, because we do have that relationship there as well, to have our SROs give it to a high school student. And so, but again, I go back to, I want the board to be assured that I think it's something that we look at annually, whether we can do it or can't. We're in a position to do it now financially, but if, you know, we don't have a great year with funds with these programs, then we just may not be able to do that. So
how does the summer rec scholarship program work now? I know that there's like different committee. Does anyone work with that? I know, was it at the
Usually
Friends of the Library?
Friends of the Library
tries to
scholarships.
find people to fund it.
Because I think even like, I think that would be a really great thing with the PD especially, if there's something for scholarships, because you guys might be aware of situations where
yes.
somebody needs that summer rec program, just doesn't have the resource to do it.
Yeah, and our SROs are fantastic at finding kids through counselors, social workers, you know, at the school. And it's just, you know, going back to that Police Lights of Christmas, I mean, we do get some pretty big vouchers around that Christmas time that we do donations for. But again, we were just finding that we did receive a lot of fun. We do a lot of different things like the Cops with Culvers, the ride, the game. Like, there's a lot of things we do for that program, but that program gives back a lot too to those agencies. If you recall, we get a few $1,000s worth of gift cards, and we were actually seeing that some of the Quick Trip gift cards were falling off because they were, after a year, they start to lose some money. And so we, like I said, reached out to Police Lights at Christmas, and they were more than happy to say, yeah, use it towards your community events, which is a huge funding source for us to do that event. So how do we take that money now that we're using for that event and turn that into something else good for the community?
And this is something your officers would be judging and making
Yes.
decisions on, a nice
Yeah.
tie-in, I think.
Yeah, and the SROs have committed to doing the scholarship nights and presenting, you know, on behalf of the department. And then, you know, I would work with Pat Lemmo approached me about the rec, and so I'd have to work with friends of the library and Pat on, you know, how we would want to work that out.
I love the idea. I love the
Yeah,
idea.
I think it's a great idea.
Especially too, if you're at National Night Out, and if there's might be people there who would be willing even at that point to simply donate to
Yeah.
the scholarship
Yeah, I
fund. Mhm.
definitely agree. So you have $14,000 just for the National Night Out right now?
Yeah.
So that, I mean, I'm assuming that covers your expenses. That's not, you have 14,000 extra sitting around. You have to cover, because you buy stuff for raffles and you have operating expenses for that. no?
That's actually almost all donated.
Really?
Every
Yeah.
year, at the end of the year, we put the allocation of what they've earned based on, you know, net into this account.
Okay.
Last year, they added in $1,700, and then it gains interest, obviously, over time, so 24, I think it was $965.
Well, that was gonna be my next question, is what are you doing with that money to make it grow?
Yeah, and I think this
Since
is one of
you're
those
just accumulating.
ideas. Is like I think
Yeah.
that night to be able to say that we're giving back to these other organizations, I think that encourages people to help support. We've always tried to. There's this point where you know you get too big, and we've talked about this. And how do you sustain that reoccurring cost? You know, if you one that's always brought up to me is there's other municipalities that do fireworks. Well, fireworks are really expensive.
Oh, yeah.
And once you do it, it's hard for me to come back and not do it the next year,
Yeah.
right? Because
Oh, no.
people are going to say, well, it was great last year, but this year they didn't do this and that. And so trying to get away from those reoccurring costs and do other things, I think, within the community that people, and when we're there and we're presenting and we're saying we give to these organizations, I think it feels different about donating to if they know there's other things going on. Because when I talk about the senior scholarship, most of those parents have younger kids in the district, you know, that
Yeah.
might go and attend that night because they heard about this. So just thinking of other ideas that I'm not stuck in this reoccurring cost thing.
So what else are you using the funds for right now? I mean,
Just sustaining it, and
Yeah.
you know, kind of and when I get asked, I say, you know, we try to do this every year to
Okay.
continue to make sure it's a free event. You know, I think we always plan for tough years where we might not get as many donations, and so, but I think 14,000 is a pretty safe place to be.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at setting up a scholarship for a group that I run.
Sure.
And one of the things that I looked at for them was to put it into, because you're only gonna be drawing out, I mean, if that's the whole purpose, and in this case, the whole purpose is to draw it out, so, for just a one time a year for the scholarship.
Yeah.
So the rest of the time, we're looking at taking that money and putting it into some sort of a locked-in, high-yield account, because you're never drawing out of it, so you might as well use that money to make itself grow.
Yeah.
And then that helps to pay for the outflow at the end of the year.
Yeah, I think that's probably a further discussion to, you know, maybe, you know, but I mean, I think that we've been so fortunate with the community and the donations, but then I think even to add on to that, once we were able to dive into these Police Lights of Christmas funds too and use that, it kind of allowed us to think about these other options. And it might grow into even other things. And at this point it was because I had been approached about the rec and the relationship with the school. I thought those are good ideas, but I think if there's other ideas that come up in the community that we could support, and we'd be happy to listen. I think it's just a good relationship thing for the community.
I completely agree. I think it's a great image booster for the department.
Do you want a motion on this? So it's
Yeah,
legit?
I do need a motion.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve a National Night Out Scholarship Fund with the Hortonville Police Department.
I'll second.
roll call, Jim.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. C, discussion and possible action on sanitary sewer televising quotes.
So this is, there's 3 quotes in here for our annual obligation to televise sewer. The low bid was Speedy Clean for $9,241.98.
Okay. Are they all the same service? Or is this Visu sewer doing something special that there's 17,000?
I'm not sure.
No.
Yeah, it's all the same, yeah.
Okay. And have you used these guys before at
Yes.
all?
Any other questions? Otherwise, we need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the quote for Speedy Clean Drain and Sewer in the amount not to exceed $9,241.98.
I'll second.
Roll call, Jim.
Aye.
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 Motion carried. D, discussion and possible action on Hortonville street maintenance, crack filling quotes.
So this was, our crack filling, quote project that we had out this year. We ended up getting 4 bids. And the lowest was Precision Seal Coating for $14,300.
For the entire village, or?
The roads that we outlined.
Okay.
Wildwood, Wildwind, Warner, and North Oak. So I do have a question about, North Oak Street. So when is this scheduled to happen?
Sometime over the summer.
Okay. So isn't that when that, detour is happening?
But they have traffic
They have
goes
their own
through,
traffic
they
control?
don't, yeah, they don't block, they only do it on one side of the street at a time usually.
All right, and then we talked about that we were gonna do the, like a video or whatever, go through that, Oak Street for any potential damage and stuff like that.
Before the,
So, yeah, so then this will be noted on there too, right? Okay. Just trying to see if we could wait to do the seal coating on that until after that detour was done.
it's getting pretty late in the year for that.
Yeah. And then, I just was having, I printed them out, which I hate printing this stuff out, but I was just having a hard time. So there's certificate of insurance, there's COIs with everything, but I didn't see one for that one precision seal coating. And maybe I just have the papers mixed up. And not that that's a really big deal, but it's kind of a big deal when you get into COIs. I just wanna make sure that the village is listed as a certificate holder,
Okay.
cause it's not listed on one of them here. That was Farner. Sorry, I'm not needing to nitpick, I just wanna make sure that if we do a certificate of insurance, that the village is listed as a certificate holder on there.
I can make sure that they do when they contact them.
Cause that's something that gets missed a lot when they do those, okay.
Any other questions? Otherwise, we would need a motion on which one to accept.
I'll make a motion to accept the precision seal coating, not to exceed the amount of $14,300 for street maintenance to, for Wildwood, Wildwind, Warner Street and North Oak Street as listed in the advertisement for bids.
I would add contingent on the submission of
COI,
the COI with the.
certificate
village
holder listed as the village, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jim.
I'll second.
Roll call, Jim.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Motion carried. E, discussion and possible action on wastewater treatment plant sewer lining proposal.
So we got 3 proposals for this problem that's been reoccurring at the treatment plant. Basically, the sewer line keeps getting clogged between the shop and the manhole because there's a dip in the sewer line. We've had to have it pumped 3 times this year already. So this slip lining of that line will take care of that problem. The low quote is Turk's Plumbing for $6,562.
Any questions?
$6,562, I'm sorry.
See that one,
It was on the back, and it was kind of hard to read double-sided.
So then the other, real quick question, so when they do that lining in there, only 'cause I know that that was the plan too with Main Street. So like if there's any kind of dip, does that lining just follow that dip then? It's just now it's more smooth. This
Yep,
goes with
so
the-
stuff doesn't keep getting caught on it and block everything out.
That was the question, cause I'm being asked that on Main Street, so.
Yeah, so. I don't see that quote in there.
Well, I see the
Oh, this one down here, okay.
Just,
See, I thought you said Turk. Okay.
Seal.
Seal, yeah. The seal
The
pipeline.
Turks is the small line lettering underneath it, where it says seal pond.
Oh,
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 okay.
oh, good lord.
Okay.
So this is Turek Plumbing out of Appleton, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's really small.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Like, where's the other Turks?
Yeah.
Okay,
Carry
well, thank you for the Easter egg of
Yeah.
something in our packet.
It's like, maybe-
Appreciate that.
Why was it for the same thing, and I'm like,
Yeah. All right, I'll make a motion to approve the quote from Turk's Plumbing Incorporated Division, not to for sewer lining, not to exceed $6,562.
I'll second. Roll call, Jim?
Aye.
I,
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. F, discussion on new state law on public construction bidding thresholds.
so in the packet, you kind of have there's a summary in there that the state put out. And then the next page is basically our current ordinance, well, 2 pages later, for our bidding process. I guess accordingly, as of right now, it automatically switches with the state's laws. So, I guess it's, kind of wanted your input on your thoughts. I think there is some things in here that probably should be altered too, regardless, but, yeah. Basically, for everyone else, the state laws, changed the initial bidding for construction projects from 25,000 to 50,000. And then in those bids, you have to go to the lowest responsible bidder. And then the estimated cost of 5,000 to 25,000 for class 1 notice changed to 10,000 to 10,000 to 50,000 would be class 1 notice. And that one is, you don't need to go with the lowest bidder, lowest responsible.
But we as a village would still, I guess, how does that change us? Like, what's your anticipation of how that change? Because to me, like, so we just did bids for this, the seal coating, and we did the bids, what you're saying, so like the seal coating, based on the amount of money, that wouldn't have had to go for bid.
Not for an official bidding process in which you have to take the lowest responsible bidder, correct. You would just do a class 1 notice in the paper, send it to, if you have contacts, we usually send them out anyway, and then you just take, it's up to the board at that point to choose who they wanna go with. It raises that minimum bid threshold from 5,000 to 10,000.
I'm just trying to figure, like, I'm just trying to understand it. So we would still go out for bid, not really necessarily go out for bid, it would be I guess, to prevent a quick phone call, hey, we're doing this,
So-
and so you have a favorite particular construction company that you like to work with,
Right.
but there's other construction companies that would normally have bid on that, right? I guess, how does that work? Like, if there's, like, okay, let's talk about the one that was the seal coating.
Right.
How would that be different if we,
The difference would be, class 1 posting, we wouldn't, basically have to do the bid opening, there wouldn't have to be a sealed portion of it with sealed bids, and then it allows you a little more flexibility to choose. I mean, lowest responsible bidder is debatable, but it gives you a little more flexibility, is my understanding. I think if you want more of a legal response.
well, I'm trying to think about, I think of a bid as a competitive process, and I also think of it as a blind process. So a sealed bid comes in, right? Nobody knows what's in that sealed bid, but if we remove that layer on something like that, what's the potential problem here for gouging? Like, so we only got one bid in because it was a notice, now it's different, and we only got one bid in and this is the price. Is it more competitive to have a bid process?
I don't think so.
No.
I think realistically, if think the opposite has proved to be the happen.
I'm just trying to understand it, I'm not
I'm
saying
thinking
that
back
like
to
one
some
way
of
or
the
the other.
bidding processes that we've done, where you have an engineered design sent out, and we only got one bidder. That happened a lot with lighting and different other
Mhm.
things that have come up, and it's like, you're begging people to, I mean, we sent it out to many,
Mhm.
and there's no one that's responding. So, I think typically, that's what we've seen.
So is a notice an RFQ,
Or, yeah, RFP, or,
request for
thing.
quote,
Yeah.
request for proposal, same thing?
yeah.
So how does a contractor know to look for those? Where are those
Those
notices?
are posted in the newspaper, so it'd be in, Press Star. And then any of the ones that we normally worked with in the past, we typically send them all out and say, hey, just to let you know, we have this out there, just so that we can get bids.
Thank you, I just needed to understand.
Even in the bidding process, like even with the county, the most recent one, I mean, it wasn't, Vinton didn't even know that Main Street went out. Aaron called them and said, hey, I know we have worked with you in the past, you guys might wanna look at this, we've got another larger project in town.
They may have found it without me, but they didn't know about when I called them.
I guess that's really where I'm going with this, like, how does this change how they get notified of this?
More
It's-
changing the threshold.
That's all it is
Okay.
changes the threshold.
It's
of-
when we have to put it
Right.
out for a bid versus
Right.
when we don't have to put it out. for
And
bid.
this Assembly Bill 459, that's gonna be implemented anyway?
Yeah,
We're gonna
that's
be
it.
following that anyway, correct?
Yeah, as of right now, it automatically, according to section E, basically automatically amended. So we wouldn't have to change anything necessarily. There was some things in here though that we looked at that we were kind of iffy about, but, yeah.
Cause I mean, like with the seal coating, just to use that as a base point, the lowest was $14,300, the highest was $24,886, almost $25,000.
Well, I know that one went out, like. I
And
know
that one
it's
was
the-
public, that was like
Yeah.
on the top.
cost, I don't think they would wanna increase it to 10,000, and it has nothing to do with you guys personally.
We don't take it personally.
Please don't
I'm
take it
bringing
personal.
The state just did it.
Right.
The state just did it, but I feel like if I have to answer to anybody here, you know, and if I say to them, yeah, well, we increased that to 10,000, it's fine, I think there'd be some questions, and it has nothing to do with you, it just has to do with our fiscal responsibility.
I'm just bringing it to you guys so we can create the policy you guys want, that you guys are comfortable with. We don't care, we just wanna make sure we're not doing something that you guys don't like. That's why.
Understandable, and I know that it's kind of a.
We're not
pain in the
gonna
butt.
take it personally.
It's a
if you
total
guys
pain
keep
in
it
the butt
same.
sometimes to bring those bids to us, but I think then I can comfortably say to someone, actually, we got 3 bids on that, this is why,
Okay.
yeah.
Yep, I agree. I think rewriting a policy
Yes.
that keeps it where it's at, where it was before this change,
Mhm.
is in the best interest of, one, both educating the board, so that way when we go out and talk to people, they can say, well, it's $6,000 for a sneak, and say, yeah, well, the other 2 people were $10,000 and $12,000, so
Right.
this is, so that way, when somebody comes up to us, we're aware of how things are progressing and the projects that are being done and the expenses involved, as well as just to be transparent, so that way it comes up here in the board meetings, ends up in the minutes, and it's available to everybody.
Well, it happens more often than I think you guys realize, like,
Oh, yeah,
oh yeah.
It does.
all the time.
I've been hit up just recently about a few things about our bidding process, so I totally agree. We need to keep this where we're at, and
Well, I get that question all the time. How
I do
much did
too.
that cost?
all the time,
All the time.
yeah.
Here's the 3 bids, would you like to see, type
Yeah,
of thing.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I love that they're in the packet. I can just go back and say, okay, here's what it was, and here's the position that, here's the options that we had to choose from. And, you tell me that you think that there was a better option, and I'm more than happy to listen, but without the information.
Okay, then we'll go to H, discussion on east and west segments for Main Street.
So Aaron and I met with the county, and kind of went over the east and west segments, very preliminary look overview. So a few things came up. One was the RRFB, which is basically those crossing, the light up crossing areas. The thought was to potentially put one on the east side, basically off of Oak Street, on the east side of Oak Street. Currently, there's a crosswalk somewhat on the west side. It's not typically where they would be because there's a driveway entrance there. So they kind of have it pushed over more. I can pull it up here quick for you.
It made more sense when the church and Catholic school were, like when the older church was there and the Catholic school was right there, that crosswalk made more sense, and now it's just a weird spot. Like if I stop for someone in the crosswalk, I throw my flashers on because I'm afraid I'm gonna get hit.
So the idea would be to basically have it come on this side. It stays with the high school area. It's currently right. The thought was I guess to kind of replace those with new ones.
In the current locations where they currently are.
That would be a good thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of concern over the trees, the trees.
And maybe, I think on the east side, maybe, or the west side, there was maybe some more we could add into the area too, if we wanted to. They didn't seem to have as many in the boulevard area, but,
But we're taking, the project, I shouldn't say we are, but the project is taking several trees on the west end.
all of them,
Yeah, so
On the
I
south
think
side.
we should,
for sure.
Yeah, we need to put
Yeah.
something back.
we need to bring, I think we need to look at replacing that.
So that's what we had also told the engineering firm too. And then the other thing was a speed limit adjustment. Basically, they needed us to verify, on the east side, that we were gonna push, where we were gonna put the mile per hour, it needed to come out further down. Based on the curbing that you have, we can't put like a hard curb, if it's 45. So basically the idea was to push the 45 to end around Kelly Way, and then it'd be 35 to where it currently comes in at 25 by the Century Foods, Gilbert's.
And at 35, we can do the curb?
Yeah.
Okay.
The other one that was a little more not talked about too much was the west side. This is the only one we're gonna probably have to make the decision on tonight, would be the train tracks here. The idea is obviously to slow it down coming in, and I took a ride with the chief, and I think one of the other officers kind of did it too, and we kind of looked at it. It seemed good to be about 25 at like Spruce Street, to have it turn to a 25. It doesn't seem too slow in that aspect. If you actually go 40, or it's a 35 lane, right? So most people are potentially going about 40. It's I don't know, but
Yeah, I mean, I think we drove it, thinking we didn't want to wind up in a situation where you feel like you're going so slow for so long, going in or out of town. And yeah, I mean, I think it was originally one of the officers told me at Spruce Street it would make more sense, and I felt like that was a long ways out for a 25. But actually, after driving
There's a
it,
ton of residential down there.
yeah,
Swimmers
it
and
doesn't.
even cottages.
Ton of residential down there.
I didn't realize how fast 40 seems,
Mhm.
especially when you get around the tracks and in that residential area. So
And you're gonna get a bunch of kids riding their bikes that way to go to Charlie's, to go to
Right.
school as we get.
well, and we talked about that. You've got the bus pickup there for cottages, and it's a pretty residential area, and it
We're also
felt
shrinking
comfortable
the
at
road.
25 from
Mhm.
Spruce Street in. I mean, I would encourage anybody to drive it, because
Oh, yeah.
when we
Mhm.
when we did 40 again, I was like, you are humming along there in a residential. So,
the only thing we really needed to make sure tonight is, if you guys are somewhat in agreement with that, they need to know, the engineering firm needs to know if we would want it at least 500 feet before or after the train tracks. It just goes into the design that they're requesting with the railroad company. So I think Barr and myself are at least very confident that it should be at least before the train tracks that it goes to 25.
Yeah.
Yes.
The county still, I think, would have to come through and do some type of analysis to where it is. We can give them our request at a different date on what it would actually be at, where that 25 switch would happen. But for now, we just kind of needed that little
Yeah.
piece.
I agree, Spruce Street is a good marking
Yeah,
spot.
based on the, we have such a condensed amount of, like, so you've got Swiderski, SC Swiderski development, then you've also got cottages there, and I think that is just such a, I see kids all the time on bikes, like, and then when the sidewalk ends, then they're on the road.
well, and a point that Nathan brought up when we we're driving is that if that's going to narrow down even more than what it is, it's going to feel even faster.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So if we're narrowing it down and it already feels fast, I agree. I mean,
This
I
is
just
the-
don't want to get in that situation where we've been before with another roadway where that feels like we're going 25 for a really long time or 35, and now we're kind of, so we did drive it a couple times back and forth, you know, both directions, and it felt right to make it 25 there.
Those houses are much closer together than other situations.
Yeah,
I mean, they're much closer together.
yeah, for sure.
And
There's no
this is just for the
stretches.
planning purposes, for the engineers, right? This is not
Yeah,
something that's gonna go into effect, because we had talked about when the reconstruction of that road gets done, that we're probably gonna have to reduce the speed limit.
yeah, yep,
Okay.
So how far is our sidewalks going out?
all the way to the edge of the project, Gibbons Road.
Okay.
There's sidewalks are going out there.
Mhm.
Yep.
Where are you gonna put a sidewalk? You're gonna have the trail there, aren't you?
Trail on the
Trail
south
on
side,
side,
sidewalks on
yeah.
the north.
You're gonna put a sidewalk through the parking lot of the old toy factory? Is that what you're
No,
saying?
that's where that's the,
That,
Yeah.
it wouldn't go through that. My guess is
there's grass there.
they're gonna have to still design it, but it's gonna be probably tight in there. I don't know.
Sidewalk. Sidewalk.
Yeah, I mean, you're putting a sidewalk through an industrial parking lot.
Well, there's grass on
It'd
the
still be in
edge,
the
and
right of way,
there's,
wouldn't it?
there's
Yeah,
Yeah, so you can see
a
the
chunk
right
of
of
grass from
Yeah,
the
'cause
road
that'd
to
be-
the,
No,
Strip
to
the
the
sidewalk
or
or
subway.
Right.
Yeah,
there's a chunk of grass there. People park their cars and all kinds of stuff in there. There's a
So
solid
it'd
amount of
be-
grass.
It would be to the south of the black line that's shown on there. That's our right of way.
yeah, I just. Why are we putting a sidewalk there?
To get it all the way down to Sudarsky's.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got a multimodal trail on the
A
other
lot
side
of
of the
those
road.
kids actually
Why are
walk
we gonna
to school.
go through the
from
trouble of
s-
putting a sidewalk in an industrial parking lot?
Yeah.
Because it goes down to Swiderski, and you've got all the people going down the, what is it, Kelly Drive or whatever, there's, that's right before the Knoll Nails factory. I mean, they need to have, you don't want it to just end.
And then you got people trying to cross.
Then you have, now you have them trying
Without
to
a
cross
crosswalk there, without,
on Spruce Street, and
we're creating we're creating a problem.
Where does the sidewalk end now?
And-
On the north side?
no, well,
it ends
and
right
it's
here.
right before Charlie's on the north side and on the south side.
It ends right before, like, you get
Yeah.
to Dean's.
Yep, he's
Yeah.
flooring.
Yeah,
It's like a few
Before his
houses
house,
before.
yeah,
yeah.
the house right before,
Yeah. No, and only having a pedestrian path on one side of the street means that now people have to cross.
Yeah, but I mean, we're looking at reducing the speeds on that, and I just, I don't know, I don't see it being used. And if you're putting that multimodal trail on the other side of the road.
But imagine,
We have nothing out there right now.
imagine all the kids that live in those apartments that are
Yeah.
gonna wanna bike to school,
Yeah,
so they're gonna have to cross.
you can't bike on the sidewalk anyway. That's
They
against
can on the
the
bike,
law.
well, they're going to, and they
When's the
do.
last
They're
time you
supposed to
handed out a
they're
ticket
supposed
for
to cross the
going
street
to-
anyway
and they
to get on the
Or
trail.
they're walking, or
Everyone
whatever.
rides on the sidewalk.
And who's gonna
Jim.
maintain that?
Or
sidewalk?
someone
Well, I mean, you got a trail, that's what the trail is.
wheelchair. I mean, there's people that have different modes of transportation.
Right now, people walk on the road and it's very dangerous.
Yeah.
Even though it's wider there, it's very dangerous.
Well, no, I live over there, I know,
Yeah.
I bike and I walk that, and, I mean, I guess the picture in my head was, we're putting a trail in. And it's a nice wide trail, and it's gonna be great for biking, it'll be great for walking. I mean, I honestly just don't see the reason, it just seems strange to me to put that sidewalk in an industrial parking lot.
So if you're a child living in the Swiderski apartments, you
Yeah.
have to cross Main Street to go now to the south side.
Yep.
And walk the south side all the way back, and then now you've gotta cross again, back. Either at Mill, Main, or Oak. I bike on the sidewalk. Is that like jaywalking? Is that like jaywalking? Me and my old lady bike with the mirrors and everything
Yep,
too.
somebody opens the door from a business,
doesn't it? And always
they walk out, you hit them, you're in trouble.
Well, the
But-
patrol's out there now.
No, I think of Swiderski's, there's actually a lot of kids that live in the Swiderski
Yep.
apartments, there's a lot. And I think asking them to cross to the south side,
Especially coming off that hill, on that curve.
Yep.
I mean, I might be a helicopter parent, but my kids are 10 and I trust them to bike to school, but I would not have them going across that street over there if I still live where I live.
only to cross again.
So you're
Yeah,
saying we
right.
need a flashing Crosswalk?
No,
I'm saying
we're,
take
no,
the
we're
sidewalk
creating a
all the way
problem.
down.
We're creating a problem. I think
Well,
of
I-
MidCon, there's parking lot at MidCon, and there's a sidewalk that goes through there. I think of like, even like Fox Cities Embroidery, Subway. Those are all parking lots and sidewalks right next to there. Quick Trip. So this is not it's not out of place.
It's just a big, it's just, I just didn't have that picture in my head that there was gonna be a sidewalk there. It's always been this big industrial, area that it just didn't seem like it would, I'm not completely opposed to it, it just didn't seem like it fits.
The other thing too is you gotta, I mean, I know it's currently industrial, that doesn't mean it will always be that way. There are a lot of tax incentives right now out there for industrial businesses to be transformed into housing, so that doesn't necessarily say it's gonna stay industrial. Not saying that there's a plan or anything like that, but,
There's also
there's
some
also the
commercial
county
businesses
paying
in
for
there
half of
that
it
aren't necessarily
too.
industrial.
There's a spa or whatever in there at one too.
Insurance agent.
Mhm.
It's a little incubator for a lot of those businesses.
When you put a sidewalk through an industrial space like that, who's responsible for it?
The homeowner, no different than any
So
other.
the owner of the entire, is it still owned by one and then leased out individually, or is it?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so one owner, okay. Okay.
Anything else?
No, those were the only topics that I had. I don't know, Ron, did you have anything else?
No, I think you covered it well. But yeah, the main point was knowing the speed limit.
Before.
The work to do with the Office of Commissioner of Railroads is long and painful, and we can't, the design of those mast arms and how that all works has to start now, because it can be literally a 2-year process. So, and the design changes with the speed limit, so we need to know if it's gonna be 20, and it's advantageous to be a lower speed limit, so that's why it's important to have this discussion, because it's gonna make it much less painful if it's 25 mile an hour than if it was 35 or 45, just in terms of working through the OCR, so fine.
Okay. We will go to I, discussion and possible action on allowing for an administrator internship for 2026.
I was approached by a college student in La Crosse who lives in, I think he grew up in Greenville, and he is doing public administration, and he requested to see if there would be an internship at all. We haven't done one in the past. Sorry, I'm just trying to pull it up here. The WCMA, which is the organization I'm a part of as an administrator, basically does have a grant that covers up to $5,000 of a internship for a graduate or undergraduate student. The thought was to potentially have that student come help with Main Street stuff, other projects on the side too. Payment wise, I think part of the half of the payment I would say would be out of the 25 would be all TID driven. And then if we get the grant, the other amounts would come from that. I guess I just figured I'd bring it to you guys to see if that would be something you guys would be okay with. The student said he would do it either way if we got the grant or not. But it would still be $2,500 of the village's funds in order to do that. So.
I love the idea. I just have a question. So a lot of the internships, a lot of college programs right now, you can't graduate unless you've done at least X amount of internship time. What's your requirement to provide to the university? Like, do you have to do any kind of reviews? Do you have to do?
I don't think this is a graduation one.
No?
Because it's not a capstone project. It's, he's a sophomore. I think he's just looking for internships in
Okay.
the field. Basically, he heard we were doing a Main Street reconstruction, and he knows it's a once in a 50-year
That was-
project.
Yeah,
and
that was my
wanted
only
to be
question, is like,
involved.
how much more does this pull from you? But actually, it pulls tasks away from you. No, in a
Oh,
good
yeah.
way, in a
Yeah.
good way, but, I just didn't know if you had to do much with the university.
No, not that I know of. He didn't say anything about that. He just said he was looking for some type of an internship for the summer.
Okay. I love the idea.
Do you have stuff for an intern to do that wouldn't already be done, that could potentially show as a benefit?
Yeah, I mean, I
This is
think
FEMA.
there's stuff that comes in every day that's
Job mentoring.
project, I mean, with bond, with dealing with the bond, developer, or the subdivision going in, Main Street reconstruction, this water
There's a lot of stuff all at
stuff.
once, yeah.
There's more this year than we would do in a decade. I'm saying that because normally we have one project a year, or if that, and we're doing Main Street, you got Memorial Square, you've got a ton of other things, and we're planning for next year and the year after, and it's,
I think it's a good learning opportunity, and I think
and
it'll look, I think it's a good opportunity for you to be able to share that information, because, you know, potentially you don't know where it could lead for this person.
You did an internship, right?
he could replace me.
Yeah.
You did it, so Nathan, you did an
I did say
internship when
that.
you were in college, correct?
Yeah.
Where did you do your internship?
I did my internship with Red Mountain,
Okay, and that was,
how I got this job.
and also led you to know whether or not you really wanted to be an administrator or not?
Yeah.
Because now you're locked in, you're not going anywhere. But I think there's just such an opportunity for the village too.
Oh,
Because I
yeah,
think there's college students that bring a little bit different perspective of, because they need to understand, so they ask different types of questions.
And their future education as
Yeah.
well, like on-the-job training.
Mm-hmm.
Way better than
Yeah, I love the
just
idea.
reading in a book.
You're shaping the future.
He's a good mentor.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's any question as to, you know, contribution-wise, is it, you know, is it a good thing? Of course, I mean, you're helping out and,
Mhm.
you know, mentoring somebody else. The only question is it something that we want to, you know, expend resources, both meaning financial and your time? Is it a net positive for the village, or is it neutral, or is it gonna be a net negative?
Right.
Because we're not necessarily a school.
Right. No, I get that. It's kind of, I couldn't say it with a 100% knowledge of it. I think it'll be a positive. It's just kind of depends on the person too.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, because you bring somebody in and they won't necessarily know what's going on,
if
which means that they're sucking up your time to try
If they're not-
to
yeah.
get information and learn from your experience. It's a good
Right.
thing, but,
I think initially there will be that portion where it'll take a little time.
Okay.
But the idea is to give them projects and basically oversee them as like an employee. Whether or not they succeed in doing some of the stuff, maybe they do a little more harder end items if they do a good job, and maybe if they go back and they start doing some more filing and some of those
Not so
more boring tasks, but you still learn about them. I mean, my first task in my internship was basically sorting through file cabinets to learn about the municipality. And
Yeah.
that's pretty much what I did for hours. And
Is this just for the summer?
Yeah, it's just 3
Okay.
months anyway.
Yeah,
So-
three
I mean,
months.
I think it's a worthwhile experiment, and at the conclusion of it, you can assess whether or not you think it's worthwhile to do again, or if this was just, you know,
not it.
not,
Right.
you know, it was a net negative.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I think it's a worthwhile experiment there.
We need a motion?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve, an internship, for administrator with, I'm just gonna say a college student. Or do you want something mentioned about the Wisconsin City County Management Association? Do you want anything that?
No, I mean, I think it would be the $2,500 is all I would mention, and
Okay.
then if I get the grant, I get the grant. If I don't, he's
Right.
got the $2,500, right, so.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, however that's worded in a motion.
Make
Because
that
I'm really
happen,
not
Jane.
sure how to word that.
That'll just approve the
What he said.
$2,500, yeah.
Just approve $2,500.
Mm, Refer to the video.
I'll second the motion and with, you know, that we're approving $2,500
With the
for the
details, yeah.
instruction.
Roll call, Jim.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay, we will now go back to number 8, unfinished business from previous meetings. A, discussion and possible action on IT server.
So we talked last time about the IT server update that we were looking at. There was a few questions that you guys wanted clarification on. In my memo, I kind of just wrote those questions out, and this was the responses I got from the our advisor at the IT services. So I don't know.
It's nice to have it in writing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any questions?
So just one more. No, I'm good. Do we need anything?
I would need a motion to approve the project.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed VC3 project changes.
I'll second. Do you
Is
want to state the amount?
Is it the project changes, or is this the whole?
Or this is the, well, I mean, we
Yeah.
already have a contract with VC3, so.
It's
this
the
is-
server.
It's a
This is
server.
the server,
For the 15.
yeah. I'll
Is
make
it that $15,000 one?
Yes.
15,149.94.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the VC3 contract for the server and associated services, not to exceed the amount of $15,149.94.
I'll second. Roll call, Jim.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. B, discussion and possible action on no parking ordinance.
So I'm just bringing this one back. It was at the last board meeting, brought you a draft, just to look over and provide feedback. Worked with Tyler on the recommendations from the board. The changes that you'll see in there, one, under A1, we added something that's sort of a trigger point that was brought up. You know, if it's gonna be more than 5 days, that there should be notification to the village president. And I would suspect from that conversation, either Jeannie or I would send an email to the rest of the board just saying, hey, this is why it's closed until we get to that next board meeting. And then we had some in that initial draft, we had some of that wording about 14 days. We just got rid of that and said it would be approved at the next board meeting, just because we don't always know how that's gonna land. And then the D, we added just saying that the village will make all practicable efforts to notify the public of the restrictions. Any requests gotta be submitted to DPW director, myself, or Nathan 30 days prior to the event. And I said this in the last meeting, I think with our events that are known, we'll work with those event organizers this year to just say, hey, this changed, if you need something in the future, this is what the ordinance says. But we've really not gotten those requests from those organizers in the past.
Just the one for the bike.
Oh, bike night, yeah.
It's the only one that, it's not really no parking, it's parking changes.
Yeah.
So a thought occurred to me when I saw this.
Sure.
We have that, what is it, for events? Jane probably knows about that.
Special event
The
permit.
special event
Yes.
permit. Do we need to make a notation? Do we need to amend that to reference this?
I don't think it would hurt to add, if we wanted to put on a line item on a special event, to just say, are there any parking,
You know,
requests on that?
Or refer to this ordinance, or, you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
just think about, because I thought of it after I read this, I went, oh, shoot, we have that permit, and I wonder if that would help clear up any confusion.
That
Yeah.
would actually be nice if it was on the permit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we talked about that, adding it to the permits, but then also some folks might not need a permit in order to do this, so I don't know that permit necessarily.
That would be a good place.
But it's
to
good
do it,
on-
Whether they.
Correct.
But
need a permit.
those are the frequent users
Right.
Yep.
of this, that this would affect.
Yep.
Because I think about
Yeah.
like your programs and things that you've
Right.
done, it would be nice if this was just with
Yeah,
that,
just a reminder and just, yeah,
Yep.
that would be good if it was on there.
Yep.
especially the 30-day dealio and stuff, so,
Yep.
okay.
I'll make a motion to approve O-2-26.
I keep saying it.
I'll second.
Roll call, Jim.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Alright,
Motion carried. Okay, then C, discussion and possible action on temporary no parking for Oak Street.
Well, now that we've got that approved, we can talk about this one. So, you know, I looked this over, you know, I talked with the school district. I should back up a little bit. I did talk with the school district. They do not use Oak Street for drop-off or pickup during the summer. All the students come in actually in door one, or the main entrance off the parking lot. They did only ask that crosswalk on the top up by Oak and Nash stay somewhat open, because in the event they would have a wheelchair-bound student, that is where they drop off and pick up. So we could put some signage up there. I feel like we have kind of a few options here, and I only have one picture here because the other two options are pretty self-explanatory. One, we do nothing, and we don't do a no parking at all. Two, we make everything on Oak Street no parking. After talking to the school, it doesn't really impact them. When I look at the houses there, we've got, I think, 6 houses total on Oak Street, because 2 of them are actually school facilities. One's that, the house on the corner of town in Oak that the school uses for special ed students, and then the school nurse's office, or the whatever, health clinic.
yeah, whatever it is, yeah.
You know, the one thing I will say with that is those folks on Oak Street on the west side there between Cedar and Nash have had a lot of parking issues over the years, and I would say if we don't let them park vehicles on the road, we'll probably take some calls on that. Just because summertime, if you have visitors, it's tough. Those are fairly small driveways. So I don't know where we would have them park other than on Cedar and Nash. So I guess the third proposal, or the third option, if you see the line there that's highlighted, I would say we leave that side open for parking. Everything else becomes no parking on Oak Street. I think it would allow for parking for those residents that are most impacted on Oak Street. It would get us around the visual issues, or the, you know, if you're coming off of Cedar, you're coming off of town, you're able to see those intersections well for the detour. I think that's, from my opinion, the best option. It's working with those residents on Oak Street who've had parking issues
So what you're
commonly.
saying is that red or orange mark there is where there would be parking.
There would be parking, yes.
And then everything else, all the way from Nash to Maine, is no parking.
Correct.
So in front of their homes, they would not be able to park, but across the street.
But
they would.
across this street.
Which is better, because when you're turning left or right off of like Cedar,
It's
you don't have
horrible
a car
there,
park that you can't see around.
Right. And that was my thought process, is that it helps us at those intersections, still allows the majority of the houses. The only house that would really be impacted by this would be that one right at the corner of Main and Oak. That's the only residential house there, but it really actually faces Main Street. And I very rarely see cars parked there. The rest of them are actually all, and it actually looks like there's 2 residential there, but it's not. That's actually a garage in the back. That's part of the parcel for 203. So it's just that one resident that would be impacted.
And clearly the church has their own parking lot. So I guess the question is too, so if we were to approve, like you're saying, this third option, how easy is it for us to backpedal and say, let's say we're finding that there's a lot of traffic and we need to just do all of it?
I think by ordinance now we have that ability to do that. You know, it says right in ordinance now that if there's safety concerns, that we have the ability to do temporary no parking, and then we would bring it to the board. I mean, if we had to go up there even before we could meet as a board and say, this isn't working, we can put signs up and approve it at the next board meeting.
Currently, there's a no truck through sign for this roadway. Are we removing that and putting that back up after this project? Because there was a reason why it was put on. I think it had to do with the school zone, likely the width of the street and everything. So right now, there's just a sign with a big red line through a truck.
I mean, if we've agreed to allow that to be a detour, I think it has to come down.
Yeah,
Right. I mean-
but it's gotta go back up. I guess that's my worry, is that it's not gonna go back up.
Well, we're gonna have to put in no parking signs, so we're already gonna have to.
We already
do
have a
that.
stick to put it on. There we go.
Yeah.
I mean, I was the one who had the most concern about. I'm the
How long
one-
is it?
Yeah.
3 months.
3. They're saying by school is what we've been told, right?
Did you go talk to St. Peter Paul?
What's that?
Did you talk to St. Peter and Paul at all? They always have people park out in front. I mean, they can just, they have parking lots, they just have to tell their,
Folks who use the parking
tell their
lots.
folks to use parking
I
lots.
mean, I certainly can reach out to them. I mean, if we're saying that this is the thing, then I would
Yeah.
say like that's.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily, their parishioners or anything, it's, they have a lot of events there. And they're just gonna have to,
Let's say August, they have their rummage sale,
Yeah.
and that's always packed,
yeah,
street, everything.
yeah, they're gonna have to let people that use their facility know.
I feel like your third option is a compromise. Like, we're still gonna have some parking, but it would be across the street from those houses. So we're not affecting the houses, I guess, really. And I get it, they're narrower driveways and stuff,
Well,
but.
And I think as those things come up, we could just, to go back to the question you asked, Julie, is, you know, can we just go in and change it if it's not working? I think the opposite too is, if it is working and we're not getting the traffic that we suspected and it's not a big deal, we could likely pull that temporary no parking for St. Peter and Paul, right? I mean, if we start to see, after we implement it, we see that it's not really, we're not getting as much traffic as we
At
thought.
board
I think
level,
we-
not,
Yeah, at board
not
level.
messaging the village president and then we find out about maybe 2 weeks later. Because that's the concern too, is that if there's a decision made,
Mhm.
I might still be getting phone calls or questions or text
Sure.
messages or emails, and if I don't know, and I say, no, there's absolutely no parking there, and all of a sudden we said, oh, now we can, it makes me look like a fool.
Yeah, I would feel like if we did the no parking and we saw for 2 weeks, I'm just generally speaking that we meet every 2 weeks, even if it was a month, to come back to the board and say, we're not really seeing the traffic flow.
More than
Yeah,
5
it says it in
days.
the
It
ordinance,
says
it
it
would have
in the
to be
ordinance,
the board.
then it is
Yeah.
approved by the board.
Yeah, I thought about that when we were just doing that.
Because there's a
but
2 week
there's
span
the-
in there
There's the
where
thing
I'm
that says,
looking like a
prior
moron.
to enforcing temporary parking in the village, make, practical efforts to notify the public of the parking restrictions, and we're part of the public, I just
I
assumed.
get it.
We didn't have to necessarily explicitly say the board, it says right in the ordinance that they have to make attempts to notify the public. and
Understandable.
We're part of we're the easiest public to get a hold of.
Well, not always. Not always.
Yeah.
Depends on where our phone numbers are.
And normally you send out something to the full board when there's anything.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I
I
think
mean,
to remove the
You've been
parking
very
would be.
informative about
yeah.
things, so.
I mean, yeah, if it was something that we were going to change or felt like we needed to change,
Right.
it would make sure that you're aware on something that we've made a decision, especially if it's a board decision that we're making.
I mean, I'm getting on average anywhere from 10 to 12 messages a week, mostly downtown questions and that sort of thing. I'm just getting a lot of questions, and I get it, I'm public and I can learn about it too, but sometimes not being blindsided with some of the questions is helpful. Just because right now I know there's a lot of things changing with Main Street and everything else, but on average 10 to 12 messages, and I'm sure that's just going to increase from here.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I think just looking at the ideas of and just having that huge unknown of what that traffic's gonna be.
I think
I
locals
think
are going to
that's-
find a way around. I don't think it's going to be
Right.
local traffic. It's going to be people who are driving a delivery vehicle, or they're using Google Maps. They're using something. But whatever we decide to do, we're talking parking. But now the detour that the state is designating, that data goes over to, like, for Google Maps
Mhm.
and that sort of thing. So, like, somebody who is very unfamiliar and truly following the detour is unfamiliar with the area, you know?
I don't know, but
Do you want a motion on this, Brian?
Yeah, we'll need a motion to
Yeah.
get things in place for the no parking then probably for the start of June.
Yeah.
Do we wanna make the motion to August 31st? Or,
yeah.
yes,
When does it start?
June 1st, or
Yeah, June first.
June 5th, but June 1st would probably make the most amount of sense so we can get some signs up and,
So August
Much-
31st?
Easier for people to.
yeah,
Yeah.
June 1st to August
Remember.
31st.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the parking restrictions on Spoke Street, right? To only allow parking directly in front of the high school as presented from the dates of June 1st to August 31st, 2026.
I'll second.
Roll call, Jim.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. We'll now go to 10, report of village officials. A, clerk treasurer, Jane.
My report, excuse me, my report was in the packet.
Any questions for Jane? Okay, we'll move to B, director of public works, Aaron.
My report is in the packet, and we are still currently working with Allegheny County Emergency Management to try to get some reimbursement for the time spent during the winter storm a couple weeks ago.
Any questions for Aaron? Okay, we'll move to C, police chief, Brian.
Yeah, the report was in the packets, just mentioned in there, Officer Johnson is due to be on his own, on the 8th, which I think is next Wednesday. He's doing great work. One thing I wanted to add, I know Nathan talked earlier about some of the governor's orders that were signed in, this Act 443, which impacts municipal courts. We could do a $10 addition to our bond amounts that comes to the village, so working with our citation software organization out of the state to get those increases in place. What it effectively means is that we get a $10 bump for each defendant that comes to the municipal court. So that's money that comes back to us. So each defendant's a $10 add-on for that. That's all I got.
How old is your printer?
Well, we've just been talking about this. So we typically, the way it usually works is that the printer, copier, that machine from the admin office comes over to us when it's done. So I think
It's gotta be over 10 years.
it's over 10 years for sure, because we've been in this building for 12, I believe, and we've never had a different one. So I would say 12 at minimum.
Okay.
So the issue with that is our scanner quit working to scan items in. Reached out to the company with all the Windows 11 updates. Ours was end of life like 2 or 3 years ago, and they're telling us that it's not even worth the money to try to fix at this point.
Very nice letter about Officer Sweeney.
Oh yeah, I forget. Yeah, that's in the packet as well. It was that's a fantastic conviction. I mean, you wouldn't expect, and I know he didn't 12 years later to end up going to trial. It was a case where a victim came back out many years after the incident and wanted to speak further. And so, yeah, excellent work on his part and taking a small thing and turning it into something really good. So, yeah, good work on his part.
Very nice.
Yes.
Any other questions?
I just, not for Brian, but maybe just Brian, this list that was in the packet, what is this?
Oh, no, that's me, that's operators, I'm sorry.
Okay,
It's
thank you.
since June,
I wasn't sure where it fit, and
I should
okay.
have put that on my,
Okay.
the title on the top.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I asked that last time. Like, what the hell was this list?
What was this list?
It's a big list of names.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, then we'll go to D, library director, and her report is in the packet. E, attorney, is there anything?
Oh, I'm here obviously because Ashley had her baby. She had a baby boy named Harvey, so they're both doing well. Saw them today, so they're going there. The chief and Nathan kind of stole all my thunder with the legal updates, but other than that, no, nothing really else to report.
Wonderful. Any questions? Okay, we'll go to F, administrator, Nathan.
I do have a report in the packet. The next few weeks, we'll probably be going through the rereading the draft for the zoning code update. I'll be getting that to the planning and zoning board to review and probably give them a few months to kind of get through that too, before the process to actually update the zoning code is gonna be, we have to do public hearings, for that with the residents, so, we wanna make sure it's in a good spot before we do those, and any question that those residents might come up with, we have answers for hopefully, so, that's probably gonna be also another thing for the next few weeks here, so, or months, I guess. Planning and zoning will be meeting next week to kind of go over some of that, and that's pretty much it. I know PSI is doing an addition too, so you might see a little more, construction going on in the industrial park too.
We got a lot of calls from people upset about the re-energy stuff.
The 14% proposed increase.
No, the lines and all the flags and the painting and the digging up the grounds and,
We don't get notified when they go and do that.
I was just curious, cause I get people like, especially people who are upset because it's happening at the same time downtown stuff's starting to happen and
So
we're gonna ever be
they'll
affected.
yeah, they'll always do that now, is like. when
It's
you-
all getting jumbled into the whole downtown thing, but.
Right, so anytime we do a project, we're gonna try to get in before us, so they don't have to pay for the replacement of the sidewalks, is usually how that, it seems like they kind of do that, so.
I'm just putting it out there, cause I got a bunch of calls from people that were like, oh, this is really great, now they're gonna do stuff that's gonna affect our stuff now, and then we got the downtown reconstruction, which is gonna affect us too, and it's like, that's not really our gig, so, just, I was curious if you knew.
Yeah, I kind of correlated them together. We got a letter saying that they were
We got a
replacing
letter as well.
gas lines, but I just figured that was part of the downtown project.
It is, and then they kind of took the opportunity to fix some other things that needed to be fixed as well, while they're doing that work.
I got a letter too.
I
I does
was-
give a guy, I called him.
I got a text about the flags.
Yep.
I-
Any other
As weird as it sounds.
questions?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we'll
Thinking on
move
the
to G,
phone,
building
sorry,
permit
that's my
report,
bad.
there's none in the packet. H, any other miscellaneous topics for future discussion? Okay, we'll go to 11, communication and miscellaneous business. A, Black Otter Lake District News, Bob?
Nothing new. Next Thursday is our next meeting, right here at 5:30.
Okay. B, Hortonville, Hortonia Fire District News, Jim?
We have a meeting Wednesday at 6 o'clock at the fire station. And that's all I have.
C, Gold Cross Ambulance Run Report and News, there's none. D, Hortonville Civic Association, Jane?
Nothing new.
And E, Senior Activities, the report is in the packet. Do you have anything to add, Jane?
Just meeting next Thursday.
And 12, comments and suggestions from citizens present.
I have one. Just a curious question. Did you guys get to, the Historical Society get to look at the pavilion? And
We have a meeting coming up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we don't have a meeting, we meet the second Monday of every month.
Okay.
And it's just the timing.
No, just curiosity.
Me and Paul did meet with them out there,
Okay.
and he's good with kind of what they're planning on doing, and it's gonna make it better than what it is, for sure. So.
Cool. It's not anywhere on the agenda, I'm
No,
not sure where to put that out.
Yeah, we just haven't had a meeting.
Okay, number 13, I would need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Time is 7:41.
Stay with me,